Good morning to you, Raymond. How are you doing on this rather cool morning?
Morning, Terry. Doing well. Doing well. Little chilly, but otherwise okay.
Oh, great stuff. I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
my screen sorted out here. Let's just go that way. And that way is not working. That way is not good. This one. Let's see this one. Okay. I'll just remove
I'm
that.
working. I'm working off my phone. So let me see.
We can
Maybe.
see you very well. I've got you a good shot of you. There you go. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Raymond, we've been talking about history because history is about stories, and we're going to look at two questions today. And the first question we want to put to you, Raymond, is why is it important to understand the past? It's a why question. Why is that
Hmm.
so important?
Well, no past, no present, no future.
Yeah, well, that's a good place to start. Yeah, because we don't fall out of the air, right? We don't fall out of a
Right.
vacuum. Yeah.
Yeah. No. We have that place where everything begins or began.
Mhm.
Um, the past. Like the some of the favorite quotes. Like if you don't uh, um, learn from history, you're sure to repeat it. You're bound to repeat it. So there's a past that we have that shapes our future. This is the basic, what we would call the basic worldview understanding, especially with us now, a biblical worldview. There are those that have influenced us, impact us, shaped us, basically, those different teachers that God has brought into our lives. And it starts, I think, from the cradle, basically. Did we have cradles? I'm not sure, but we started from the cradles. And from there onwards, one of the things that's exciting about I was at the funeral the other day, and it was good to see our dear friend that we have in common, to see him grow, progress through the ages, and the laughter that comes with looking at the past and the kind of clothing one wore and where you are today, you know. So there's memories that are like rooted in the past, because that's the place of the beginnings.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Just repeat that again.
There are memories that are rooted in the past because that's the place of beginnings.
That's the place of beginnings. Listeners, that is so crucial. It's the place of beginnings, and some of us don't like that beginning. But be that as it may, we're going to talk into a lot of that. So that was a
Right.
great line there.
And there's also the other one where you can't do much about the beginning, the way you were born, the family you were born into, and so forth. But you can do something about what happens when you realize that you were literally, yeah, in the beginning, and now it's up to you to shape life, or to be shaped by those influences that come into your life, where you're going to make the decisions that matter. And my past is something that could be with me all the time. How do I get rid of my past?
Oh, we're going to talk into that quite a bit. Is there a need for that? If there is, what is that need to do that? But we'll get there, because I'm sure the listeners are have so many questions. I normally get questions after I go off the air rather than on the air. not kind of set up for it yet. It's quite easy to
Okay.
do, but it's just multitasking. You have to watch so many things when you're on. But
Right.
I like your the thing about the past being the place. The past is the place of beginnings, and I can either deny that or I can affirm that and use it in a positive way. So let's now shift that and talk to us about how do you get the people of God? How do you get the believing community to speak well, not deny, to speak well about where they come from? Because some speak
Hmm.
very derogatorily about where they come from. It's like, oh, don't even mention it. Um, and there, of course, are reasons for that. What do you
Right.
think are some of the
Yeah.
things that encourage people to have the hard encounters with their past?
Yeah. Look, there is the situation where we have to firstly understand we all have a past. Otherwise, we'd not be in the present, heading to the future.
Mm,
Now, it's not always a desirable past, but it's a past nonetheless, and we are shaped by the experiences of that past.
mm,
And the sooner we work out, we do an evaluative study or evaluate our past, and we work out the past and do deep introspection or whatever the word is, and then focus on gleaning from the past, because there are always going to be good things there, and even the bad. I'm reminded of uh, a favorite verse, what's it, Romans 8:28, where the Lord is saying that, where the Apostle Paul is saying that God, we know that God is working all things out for our good. Is he working the evil things out? Well, in spite of the evil, we are still focusing on God's plan for our lives. And the things that involve that journey is, whoa, it's mind blowing. Every little aspect of it is basically a learning curve for us. For instance, many of us will speak about, oh, when did you have your first kiss? And, you know, stuff
mm.
like that. And what was the impact on your life? So it's like that. Us guys that were into soccer or sports, there was a time when somebody did something that literally stirred up the whole body to respond to what has been thrown at us, and we discovered, but hey, I enjoy doing this thing. Where did it come from? Then you learn later on about your father's father or mother's father or somebody in the family that has that kind of background. So yeah, it's amazing, because history is not a compartmentalized thing. There's a lot of influences, tremendous influences, and you are becoming the, basically, could I say, the end result or the beginning result of all of those influences as they impact your life step by step.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I would love that we could go down these rabbit holes and explore them a lot more, because history is what captivates what's really real. It's the stories in there, isn't it? And,
Great,
and
great.
you said it so nicely that my past brings me into the present and will either jettison me in the future or cripple me into the future, depending on how I synthesize that. So let's switch gears a bit and talk about um, when we learn from the past. Sometimes the greatest and best lessons are learning from our mistakes. Now, Raymond, why is it so hard to learn from the mistakes? We want to learn from all the good fuzzy stuff, and the Jesus jumping kind of stuff. But what about the hurtful, the betrayal, the failure, the
Mm,
injustice?
mm,
Let's talk a bit into that, because I think some folks get the impression that if you're a follower of the way, then your way is paved with successes, and they don't realize that Failure, as Owen Lutzer says, is the back door to success.
There
And
you are.
talk to us a bit about the mistakes and how do I process? What do I process? Do I have to process?
Uh, well, firstly, I believe that the person has to, every one of us has to sit down and work out your salvation in that sense. I would say, as far as mistakes are concerned, you need to process them, you need to evaluate what happened there, because if you don't evaluate, you're sure to be a victim once again. And some people, we learn from them by their mistakes. Like somebody said, you don't have to always be making those mistakes. If you can just look around and see what is happening around you, and watch what is happening in somebody else's life, they are bound to teach you, don't do this, don't come there. But we also repeat mistakes. I think of growing up as a young man, and some of the challenges we had and our responses to those things. And later on, you realize, no, man, that was the wrong response. Some of us never get to that place. And so, the guy that bursts out in anger and never learns to control himself, if he grows up like that, then he is sure to really, really damage somebody else's life or even his own life. He can pull his whole family down with him if he never learns from his mistakes.
Mm, mm. Well, I'm wondering, since we talk so hesitantly about our failures, right? Now, I'm not meaning to say that we must always do the psychological striptease,
Yes, yes, yes.
all the failures in my life. People may get the impression, boy, that I'm a martyr for punishment. My surname is Martin, not martyr. And I've been right in it because I've been out of the Cape, away from family for 35 years, right? And I
Mm,
promise you, coming back in out of 35 years is an absolute shock to my system. Because you have this crazy idea that it's a foolish idea. Pick up where you left off.
mm,
Well, what gives you that impression? And I am so amused because even the night out that I was talking to you about with my brother and his wife the other day
mhm,
was filled with such humor. But humor over the fact that I hadn't dreamt that I would not have to deal with some of the issues that I had left and I had walked away from 35 years ago or 20 years ago. I just used to come visit down here, but generally just stayed away. And I had all the good reasons in the world for why to do that. Now coming back in, they have just come back and knocked at the door. And so I am quite humored, because if you aren't humored by it, it will paralyze you. Because you
yeah,
always think, now I had thought this and this and this, but now I'm discovering this and this. I'm discovering now what my brother's thinking was when I left home as a 23-year-old, when I had to leave home. And he's talking to me about what that felt like when I left as the oldest boy, being told, you're no longer part of this home. You will now leave this home because of a decision that you are in the process of making, and it won't be done under this roof. And he was telling me about what that felt. And so, talking about, some of the decisions we make, some of them are good decisions for us, but they have impact on others, right? My
most
history
definitely.
has impact on
Mhm.
others. And often we don't think that as a mommy or a daddy, the decisions I make has direct impact on my wife and on my kids. And often from your kids, it's so humbling because you hear 20 years later, they say, Dad, you know what you said there? Well, Dad just switches off at that point. He says he's forgotten everything. But because it's so challenging to have to go back there and say, wow, I didn't know, that you were feeling that. How did that make you feel when I said this and such? And we have these
Yeah,
shocks of our lives, isn't it? Oof.
most definitely. Um, my situation is kind of similar to yours in that sense that you think that time stands still when you leave home. and
Mm.
mine is closer to 40 years.
Sure. That's a long time.
Yeah, so yes, periodically you'll go home and kind of fit in
Yeah,
as
kind of. I
best you
like that
can,
kind of 15, but
you
it's just
know.
the
Uh,
cordial thing we do when we're there,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
as best you can, you see. But
Mm,
you somehow get the sense that you don't belong.
mm, mm.
You've outgrown the situation has outgrown you too.
Yes. Yes. In more
And
ways than
so
one.
you entering now as the pupil, the learner, rather than what you would have been or were as teacher, depending on the kind of person you were. But you definitely come back with another mindset. Your view of life itself has changed. You don't realize it, but you find yourself battling to fit in.
Mm,
And then you notice, but everybody has moved on.
mm,
And they may not be ready for you. They don't want to slow down time.
mm,
Father Time moves, they say, slowly, but he moves nonetheless.
mm,
And now you find yourself having to interpret situations more
mm.
than when you were creating situations.
Yeah. I just created it and ran away. And now
You see?
it comes visiting again, isn't it?
Hey,
Yeah.
what happened though that year when you left nearly 35 years ago? Do you know what happened? Now, you're talking about your situation as far as your brother is concerned. I tried to work out something the day we left and we saw our furniture leaving our home that we had just purchased 4 months before, leaving the home. And there we are jumping in the car, getting ready to go to plant the first church. And my brother is busy walking around that furniture van, that truck. He is walking around it and walking. I'm wondering what's wrong with this guy. And I looked at him. It never dawned on me that this was happening. Now we were into our 30s at the time. What was this? 32, 33, somewhere there.
Mm,
And here was I getting ready to go. After 32 or 33 years together throughout South Africa, basically, you
mm,
know. And it's now time to say goodbye. In his mind, it's like, hey, my brother's going. How am I going to survive beyond him? Because me being firstborn son,
mm,
how am I going to survive beyond him? And we have the history together too. And I'm glad to say he survived.
mm,
He's done relatively well, but I do sense that there is a big gap that should have been filled if I had stayed. But God determined something else.
mm,
So our mistakes are like, look here, must I stay
mm,
for your sake and then miss out on all of that has happened for my sake, in the sense that God has taken me on a journey, and it's been mistakes, successes, failures, successes, and so forth, all of those things. And now I come almost full circle, not back home, but a man that is speaking more about maybe today Jesus will come or I'll go to see him, you know.
mm,
And so I got to focus on examining my life more now than ever before.
mm.
Or the other thing I could do is say, forget about the mistakes. Let me just sit back. The children just bought me a lazy, kind of a lazy boy, for Father's Day, so I can literally kick up my feet and sit back and say,
Uh,
wow, this is what's it all about now. What do I do? No, I got to continue to remain active in spite of those things that have been permitted in my life by God, and yet also been shaping me. Is there another day He wants me to get up and get going in spite of the past?
mm,
Or is he saying to me now, listen, your past is now your present. Relax. I'm done with you. I don't know.
mm. And those are things we don't know because reality comes at us like a runaway truck, right? And we need
Yes.
to go at it as it comes at us. Now, I like what you're saying. Most would just drop into that lazy boy and kick back and say, I ain't do a thing. I'm headed in a different direction. And yet,
You know.
when our past comes knocking, we need to decide, is this the apropos moment? Is this the kairos moment
Eish.
to be dealing with it or not?
Yeah.
And that's what,
Yeah.
as I was sharing with you outside of this discussion, the kairotic moment had arrived, and what a moment it was. And I think as we get older, there are many more moments like that. And that's why our sensitivities need to really be attuned. You know, is this it or isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
Most definitely. And even in the situation, look, um, even though we've slowed down physically, we also need to slow down relationally too, you know. We need to sit down and do a lot more reflection on, listen, so and so, 40 years ago, we had something that didn't really go down well. We've been great buddies with each other, but somehow or the other, this thing, I kind of feel it when I'm around him, you know. So I need to make right as far as this thing is concerned. Let me bring it out and let me thresh the matter out. It's easier to do that now because we are a little wiser
mm,
in that sense. Hopefully, the person that I'm going to have to relate in that way is also a little wiser,
mm,
and you know, the Spirit of God has also quickened his mind, and this is a look. This is a blind spot
mm,
between the two of you. Sorted out.
mm,
So the past is with you.
mm. And it can be a wonderful teacher, right?
There you are. Interpret it all the time.
How you interpret it. Yeah.
Yes.
God can turn a mess into a miracle. You know, down in the south in Texas,
Uh-huh.
the saying used to run, and it still runs within the Afro American circles, that God is the only one because he can eat a straight blow with a crooked stick.
Yeah.
And that's true. I mean, who of our pasts
Yes.
are straight? As squeaky
Mm-mm.
clean a home as I came out of. Man, I came out with a bent, a fighting bent, soos hulle sê in Afrikaans, wat skrik van niks. I mean, my
Yeah.
profile was, I joked with my brother just a moment ago with Daryl, who's sitting in the UK. I said, you know me, I bring a can of petrol to a fight, not water.
Yeah.
Okay, I bring petrol to a fire, not water. And you come out with that bent, and then you learn across your lifetime that that's not a thing that God is impressed by. He's not
There
even
you are.
victimized by it, you know. And it's something
Mm-mm.
that you really need to deal with in your own life. And if I think of the casualties along the way because of things said, you know. I remember
Right.
an old boy telling me, Terry, you have a way with words, but you have a way of hurting people. And I
Mm.
was an older guy, and you know, these older guys, they don't buy our faces. Hulle koop nie gesig nie. That's the Afrikaans expression. And they
Yeah.
couldn't care how you respond. And he says, you have a way with words, but you know how to hurt people. And
Oh,
that's what really
wow.
started me off on a journey. The fact that you're quick on your feet and you can think quick and say something quick,
Mm-mm.
it can be a great disservice to kingdom values and kingdom endeavors, you know. So, as you say, a lot of our past that we are learning to process can be very painful. And it
Yeah.
gets you to sit up straight and just sit
It's,
quietly, you know.
yeah, most definitely. It's in your face.
Oh,
It's it's
absolutely, in your face. I mean,
it's amazing.
I've had to confess to my younger brother, for example, and say to him, because I listened to this crazy story quickly. We got baptized against parents' will because we grew up
Right.
Presbyterian,
Mm-hmm.
and mom was very anti. You know, the fact when we moved into the outfit in Greenhaven, baptism was on the cards. And it wasn't pedo baptism, it was credo baptism because
Right.
we were pedo Baptists, right? And
Hmm.
I remember the animosity. I got a hang of hiding the day I said I was going to get baptized. So I decided not to. By the time I came to the church building, I changed my mind. And the horror of it was we had my youngest brother complicit, and we said to him, "You don't tell anybody. You don't tell mom and dad this." Oh, and the story came out. I mean, mom was so disappointed. And you think of crazy situations like that, that in your mind, not a big deal, but you pay a
Mm-mm.
price for every decision you make. There's a price that you pay. It's just on which side of the
Always.
table are you going to pay the price, on this side of the
Mm.
counter or on that side?
Yeah.
You know.
No, no, most definitely. The look, life has a way. Well, the Lord has a way of sorting us out, and I'm really amazed at how much more reflective I am now. Not so long ago, I was running around. Now I've got to get up very slowly
Mm.
and move around. And someone put it in perspective the other day and said, "Look here, all your life you played sport in such a way that you ended up kicking a lot of people,
Not the ball kicking
not
people.
the ball. Now it's those two legs that you use to kick."
Now you're getting it.
That's saying, "Sit down, sit down, sit down. We're tired of kicking now. Just relax and think about what you've done all these years." You know, so the Lord is really, really he deals with these things. We can laugh a lot about them, like you were saying earlier, and it's fascinating to see what happens when you deal with the mistake, or what we would call the situations that you encountered and the way you did. Uh, it's amazing to see what happens now when it comes out, and it's staring you in the face, and you're going to make a decision now,
Mm.
and you suddenly decide, nah, man, it's not worth it all, man. I've I've actually lost somebody all these years because of the stance I've taken.
Mm.
And I could have actually enjoyed the person rather
That's right.
than thrived on winning
That's
the
right. Mm.
situation, you know?
No, no, absolutely. And we look at the casualties that we've left behind us. I'm not impressed. Some of them have passed on. Some of the people have passed on. So now it's too late to do anything. But still, in your soul, you still need to deal with that and deal with
Yes,
it in a
yes.
way that honors the
Mm.
Lord as well. But I like what you're saying before we close out our time, the issue of becoming more meditative and reflective. Now, I know in the West, when you use the word meditate, the conservative fundamentalist Christian does a backward flip, right?
Mm.
But you do need to become more reflective because you are slowing down in more ways than one, right?
Yes,
The speech
most
is
definitely.
slowing, the
Yes,
memory is
yes.
not as quick, the words
Hmm.
ain't as quick, and the body's not responding as fast. And to 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 live in sync with that is a big one, isn't it, Raymond? And so
It is.
to
Yes, yes.
process well, to be reflecting well over issues rather than having those things paralyze me, because they can paralyze you very quickly,
Yes, most definitely.
or they
I,
can propel you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, they can propel you or paralyze you. Um, I, I look now, and I think there's something happening. You probably know that too. There's something happening. I I sit down and I visualize I'm going to be now teaching a sermon or preaching a sermon, uh, or I'm going to teach a class, and I notice that I am, in this sense, more reflective. We will work with a text, or we will speak through the notes we have, and then I dip into the past. And it's almost like for every situation that is presented, I have an illustration from life
Mm.
on how it was dealt with in a given situation, and how in my mind I could be saying this, sometimes I'll verbalize it, and and how it turned out. And sometimes I would say, hey, I wish I would say it, but most of the time I would verbalize mentally, because the occasion is not calling for that kind of response, in a sense. But
Mm.
why? No, I can understand why. I am blown away by the fact that God literally causes you to dip into the past so that you can be presenting something in the present in order to enable people for the future.
Mm.
Because it's real, it's real, it's illustrative, but it's actually a real life situation, you
And that's
know.
what makes our memories real, isn't it? We think about memories as just stuff and clutter in our heads, but that's a real. Those are real things. I mean, as we grow older, right? What do we
Mm-hmm.
have? We we have this body, and we have these memories, and then we have these relationships. And somehow memory lane has grown a lot wider for us, right? Because there are many more years that have been packed in. And boy, to navigate well, oh, that will make for good preaching, wouldn't it? Teaching,
Wow. Yes, most
navigating
definitely.
memory lane well, rather than bumping into them as minefields, mines
Mm.
that blow us up. Because a lot of memories can blow us apart. I mean, whew,
Oh,
think of your deepest pain.
ah,
Think of
could have
the
been.
single thing that was your deepest pain, and
Right.
think of if you had processed differently, it could have further decimated your life. But maybe how that you processed well or better, and you actually see the good coming off of that and coming out of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is also, even as you are thinking and you're going down that memory lane, the word grace, mercy, the loving kindness of God,
Mm.
man, oh man, patience, patient with us,
Mm.
allowing us to meander a little bit this way, meander a little bit that way, but constantly keeping us within the bounds. You're on the bus, you can move around. You can
Mm.
move around on this bus, this journey that you're on. There's movement, but you are still moving
That's right.
forward, even though you're
Yeah.
moving around, you
Yeah.
know?
Just don't jump
Wow.
off because you get hurt. Yeah. And you're in the Cape for years. You know that too. The bus was the main source of transport,
There
and
you are.
jumping on and off the bus was an art in the Cape.
Yes, yes.
And
Well, throughout
coming
South
to
Africa.
school, yeah, coming to school and going to school was who jumps off first
Hmm.
when the bus is at its fastest, and who jumps off last. And think of that in life. We don't navigate well.
Wow.
We don't navigate memory lane well. And boy, we jump off too early or we jump off too late and we discover,
Mm.
oops, I had an opportunity to deal with that situation and I
Yeah.
didn't. And that's why I'm so enjoying where the Lord has me now. They say, all of us, guys like you and I, we must have 7 hours of sleep. Seven. Well, I just don't sleep at night, but because of how the prefrontal cortex works, uh,
Right.
a lot of garbage builds up in the brain. I listen to what neuroscience teaches now, and some of the latest stuff is that you need that 7 hours for the brain to detox during sleep time. Now,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always wonder about that because we all say, oh, no, we pride ourselves. I don't need much sleep. I just 2 hours and I'm back at it. And you wonder why dementia, it was a program on radio about dementia and showing how it's becoming the cancer of the 21st century.
Yes.
And millions of people are being afflicted by it. And now there's talk about why is that so? And and
Huh?
I like what you said a moment ago. And as I get older, I learned that I need to go slower. I need to be a lot more circumspect now. I can't play soccer with those kids anymore. I put my back out. Right?
Yeah.
And now I need to sit And I need to really just soak in the moment and think through this or that or such an issue. And it's about stories that come back into our minds. It's history.
No,
Stories.
there's the thing. There's the thing. You've got a story for the situation.
Mm,
And when it comes out, it's like, wow, where was that hidden all the time?
mm. Yeah,
Well,
why did I even think about it? And
you
now I'm
see,
thinking about it, and sometimes you can't figure out what the trigger was. Sometimes you can, you know,
yeah, yeah,
see the
yeah.
connect. But what about the times you can't figure the trigger, but you
Hmm.
know that that memory is an expression of something that was really real in your life, and now you
Ah,
need to go back in, and now you need to talk. I mean, my brother said to me about an hour ago on the phone, "Do you feel like you're in catch-up mode?" I said to him, catch up mode is the wrong word because, in a sense, you can never catch up.
right.
But I think you learn a lot more carefully how to navigate now. When that
Yep,
comes back
yep.
in, my history comes knocking again. Now I need to
Mm-hmm.
navigate. And hopefully, I'm going to navigate a little more skillfully and a little
And
more.
that's the thing, the skill,
Mm, mm.
and it can't come through floating, you know, neither here nor there. It has to come from those hard learned, hard earned knocks of life, and it's got to come from the processing. And
Ah, I
suddenly,
love that. I love
you
that.
see,
I love that. What you're
and
saying now is so key, Raymond, because
hmm,
wisdom cannot be transmitted. Wisdom is
come,
cultivated in the trenches of life as I summer
there,
and winter with God.
there you
In
are.
all the vicissitudes of tracking life. And uh, I'm so aware of that, because if there were a button to press called wisdom, I think all of us would press it very quickly. But it's not something that you can transmit. It's something it's a disposition that is cultivated across a lifetime of strategic intentionality. And that's
There you
why
are.
that's my way of saying what you just said. You're not in here in a floating kind of way. I mean, what is
Mm.
orientation? Orientation is the affordance of movement in a non-drifting kind of way.
Right, right.
So your illustration of the bus is beautiful. I'm on the bus. The bus is swerving, bus is turning, and bus is moving as well, right? On its axis, on its wheels, on its springs. But I'm inside, then I can be walking up and down the aisle, yeah, right? And I'm constantly orienting to this movement all the time without knowing it.
Yes,
I, I,
yes, yes.
I've had a cousin who came off 6 years ago out of off of the Navy. Yeah, and there you're on the boats all the time. And he says one of the biggest problems with Navy guys is they have hip problems and leg problems. Why is that? You spend so much time on the water, that boat is doing that all the time, and you are so used to it, even in a sub, that body's
Yeah.
compensating all the time. And
Yes,
now
yes,
you
yes.
wonder why your hips give in. He said, Terry, you won't realize how wonderful this body is, but how we overtax the body in terms
Mm,
of
mm, mm.
orienting. And could it be that we become overtaxed? We are so highly active, and our past is driving us, not drawing us, it's
Mhm.
driving us. And so we're constantly in a sense of balance,
Yes,
compensating.
yes,
And
yes.
the day we sit still, we can't handle it. We can't handle the stillness, which meditation, as you mentioned, requires, which reflection requires. We can't even still our own
Mm,
minds. We
mm,
say, no,
mhm.
that's all Eastern. Demons are going to float into your mind. And I think
Work
it's a
out your
whole,
salvation. Work
it's
it
a
out.
whole
Work out your salvation.
Absolutely. It's positively engaging. So, Raymond, these are such wonderful things to be talking into and talking about. Um,
Yeah. Mm.
in the future, they'll be able to download our minds, right? So, I want you to do a mind download before you drop. Please, I'll give you all the facility to do it so we can have it somewhere. No, that's another scary area. But listen, thank you for the jewels and the gems that you drop along the way here. And as we
Mm.
continue in
Yeah.
this discussion, let's continue it. I always get feedback back from listeners who are either deeply smitten in their souls, or others would say,
Mm,
"How did
mm.
you guys get onto that?" Couldn't figure where
Oh,
that came from, but it's talking points. It's points to dialogue about life and living. So thank you for
good.
your time.
No
And
problem. You must also give us feedback, man. We're just talking and talking. It's like
I
what, we're speaking in a vacuum or what?
I would love to. I tell you, my next step up now. Well, let me just close off the broadcast and then just talk for a couple of minutes to what I'm doing. That feeds into what you just said a moment ago. But we'll be back online next week, same time, same place, and with another exciting episode here in talking through the importance of processing history and understanding our history, understanding our own stories, because they are what God uses in our lives. It's the context that is brought to our lives. The story always brings a context with it. That's
We
why we are
never.
encouraged
Yeah.
to read in context and study in context. So, Raymond, thanks for your time. I want to say thank you for your money, but I haven't seen the money yet. But listen, next time we'll be back on the air. Thanks.
Don't
Thank
lose
you
hope
very
on the
much.
money. The Lord bless you. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Uh, you're welcome.
Privilege. Right on.
Sure.